Hey everybody, welcome to the Christel Crawford Show. I'm your host. You might have met me before, you may have put me on repeat, Christel Crawford. And I've got with me today a guest, which I never do, but you may have heard an episode with him before. This is Mr. Andres Cardenas, my partner, my lover, the creator and co-founder of I Am Financial Intelligence, but that is not what we're here to talk about today. I called today's episode Creating Living, because that's what we're doing. And we are embarking on an adventure that you can join us in called Having and Accumulating Money, which is one access consciousness clearing 30 times a day out loud for 30 days. We're going to do it for 6 months because Gary said to do it for 6 months. So we're going to try that and see what happens. But we wanted to come on here today and just have a conversation about all the different things that have been changing for us from doing these 30 by 30s and really engaging with the access consciousness tools and choice. Hi, Lene. And talk more about what creating living is looking like for us. And with that introduction, I'm going to open the floor. Hi.
Hello. Very nice introduction. Thank you.
You're welcome. My goodness. So we did not rehearse this or plan it. So where can we start with this conversation? So much has changed over the last 3 months, 6 months, 2 years that we've been playing together.
Well, I mean, it hasn't changed from the moment I met you. It hasn't stopped.
It hasn't stopped changing.
It hasn't stopped changing. It's been constant change, and it's a fun change.
Yeah.
It's generative.
So what changed for us about, I don't know when, 4, 5, 6 months ago, somewhere in there, you started actively using the access consciousness tools. Whereas before you had gotten yourself to where you were with the tools you had, and then you started using the access tools. And then, I don't know, 3, 4 months ago, we started doing some 30 by 30s together.
6 months ago, around 4 to 6 months.
I don't even know.
So it was 2021, and it was part of the New Year resolutions. I mean, like I was present on your constant transformation, and then I was always curious about the clearing statements and all the power of those. But it wasn't until January of this year that I took the leadership and say, hey, first thing I did was being vulnerable, and I came to you and I say, hey, I need a hand. I need really to flip my life around, and I've been trying this and I've been trying that, and I've been doing this and I've been doing that. And you said to me, hey, how about what can I do for you? Can I give you this tool? Will this change? So then I grabbed that right away and I started implementing it.
Yeah.
And I've been bars practitioner, certified bars practitioner for over a year, but I wasn't really using any of the other tools. So that's until January I started using them, and then whoop, it was a flip.
Yeah, total flip.
It was a flip. The first thing that happened was a lump sum, really nice lump sum of money at the moment that it was kind of asked for.
Yeah.
And then after that, of course, you start getting more conscious about it. And then you don't really understand what the tools can do for you until you actually do it and you feel the effect.
I think that was one of the key points that I wanted him to come out here and talk about, was because I'm always talking about the access consciousness tools. I've been using them for 8 years. I've been going to big class after big class after big class. And the thing that really struck me that you said was that exact thing, was that you don't know the effect they can have until you do it. You just don't know.
You don't know. And then you don't really, you as a linear person before the tools, you try to put a structure. You try to map a road that you think possibly you could go about learning the tools. Ain't gonna happen, like they say. Ain't gonna happen. So after those tools about money and generated or having money, then it was like a step up about clearing statements and other type of tools. And then later in 2020, this year, I started implementing the clearings. And the moment I started implementing the clearings, then if change before was 180 degrees, now it was like two flips of change and transformation.
So if you guys are listening in the future, you can go to the awareness.challenge.com and you can download for yourself one 30 by 30, which is what we're calling them now. And it's one axis consciousness clearing that you do 30 times a day out loud for 30 days, and you just see what happens. So if you've never done that before, go there, run, and you get a PDF and a wallpaper and the clearing statement itself. But we actually did that one. That's the one that really started these like exponential things that are happening now.
Yeah.
And that one goes, what would it take to be willing to live the energy of what you'd like your life to be so it can show up for me in totality, and everything that doesn't allow it, and all the thoughts and the feelings and the emotions and the no sex I'm using to refuse and reject my life and the energy I'd like my life to be, I destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, all nine shorts, boys, men. Well, we did that in English and Spanish, so 60 times a day for 30 days. And so much has changed.
Let's put it in perspective. This, right before those clearings, our life was just to fit into the 4 stations kind of living and to being surrounded for certain kind of type of lifestyle.
I have a different version on that, but I could tell you a little bit. Like for me, it was like we had kind of picked how our life was going to be based on certain factors. And I was willing to have those as factors. I chose those, going from a total free bird to like having factors. I was like, yeah, that works for me. Okay, cool. And then we did the 30 by 30 and the factors flew away, meaning there was no need to consider, like we could actually let everything be a creative element and start to choose. And so we are choosing.
Exactly. It was like the moment we started doing the clearings. Well, it was my first clearing. So of course I got sweaty. I got hot.
Things to look forward to.
Hotter. But hotter on the way of my temperature kind of thing.
He got hotter too.
And then also I got days where I needed to go to sleep at like 5 p.m.
That's called being fried. That's called change.
And all those things started happening. And then I joined one of these challenges with you, and I brought the Spanish into, and I don't know if some of you remember that I came like doing the clearings in Spanish because it was comfortable doing it in Spanish. And most of the viewers loved it and asked us to keep doing it in Spanish. And then that just opened up new set of possibilities that led us into another challenge that opened another set of possibilities.
So what these clearings do is they give you more access to the choices you really have, because you tell yourself or you limit yourself to the amount of choices that you think you can have based on factors, based on my family's here, I have a kid here, I work here, there's factors, there's reasons why you can't choose. And what the clearings do is they clear out all that space or all those fixed points of view so that you can have as much choice as you're willing to have. And that's what started to happen as choice started opening up for both of us. And yeah. So, I mean, one of the things you can do to experience this for yourself is definitely just go do a 30 by 30. We're going to start another one on Wednesday, paid. You can come join our shenanigans, which is definite shenanigans for 30 minutes a day. The next one we're doing is called Having and Accumulating Money. Yes. And do it on your own, and I forgot what else I was going to say. So everything's changed. I lost my point completely. It left my head. So how many things? So what are we doing now? So we went from living in London, Ontario to what?
Oh, cheap. December 2020 or January 1st of 2020, you write down your New Year resolution.
I did not do that. He did.
I usually do it. I love it. It's a family thing, and I love it. And I tears of my eye every time I read on it, and I've seen that most of the things have been accomplished. Mm-hmm. It's some sort of energetics that we bring from home.
Cool.
So I looked at it, and I'm like, okay, here is a possible. What can we do to generate something here? And obviously, the all what is happening right now, the lockdowns and everything. It was just different. And then today, hey, you know what? Today, having the capability, the choice to say, this winter I'm not gonna be here. I'm gonna be in a tropical country. Ouch.
So we're leaving cold Ontario. We're gonna go live in a tropical country. Now, a lot of us ask us about Miss Luna. And one of the things the reason I want to bring it up directly is because we are choosing something that actually works well for everybody. This is one of those factors that I actually have a friend who's got a son, and they share parenting. She lives in Europe, and it was like trying to swim uphill, like with what she was trying to do with her kid. And one of the conversations we had is what you're trying to do based on the fact that you feel bad or you want to do this in a particular way, is it working? And that's one of the questions that becomes available to you as you start to open up all these choices, is like you get to look at, is what I'm doing working? And is there something that I could choose that works better? And so we're looking at a totally different way of doing it that still includes her, but in a different way. And that's, I think, important to talk about because most people don't. They keep it to themselves. You do guilt and you feel bad and you think you should be doing something in a particular way. And instead of looking at, if I had all choice available, if everything was freedom of choice, if I could create this anyway, what would I choose? So that's really what we've looked at there.
We'll look at it, and I looked at it from a total pragmatic point of view. So I'm going to show you an example how I looked at it. Any of you has like a very small kitchen where you and your partner or someone else, that two people trying to do the same thing at the same time, and then there's like no space, and it's like
that's a good example.
So that what happened with our beautiful Luna is a beautiful soul. She's such an amazing. She's a kid for bigger things on here on this planet. But this is the time that is being determined for her to be with her mom. So she is so rich. She got her mom. Her mom has a new partner, and they're really good at her. And they used to take her the entire winter to Europe until before all the changes. And then she also has got a little cousin, and then she's got her own cultural thing and school and everything here. And even though we're here, we get to see her like very often, like once per week.
Not very often, that's what he meant to say.
And then not very often. And when we see her, what we experience is like she brings like all that we're not. We're different. We're weird guys. We're not linear. We don't do judgment. We're totally different. So it's a little bit of it's a shock. So Christel asked me several times, things are a little different, but I said, give Luna 3 days. I know my daughter within 24, sometimes 48 or 36. That's usually what happens. She flips back, and she flips back to earth. That she's calm and she's chill and she's part of me, kind of like I can communicate with her, she can communicate with me, we can communicate all together, but it takes time, and we don't have that here. She lives with an over-controlling family, and that's what Luna has chosen, to be here on this planet, to be with first years of her life.
So we looked at what is, and this is one of the things you can do with your life, is you can look at what is. Hey, what it is. If I weren't judging it, if I didn't do emotions about it, if I wasn't doing feelings or guilt or obligation, what it is, and start looking at what are the choices that you've just never considered. And that's a question from Access Consciousness, is what else is possible here that I've never considered? Because we've considered a lot of different things or a few things. And most of the time we trap ourselves in a no choice universe where only those things are possible. And what started to occur with all this, the clearings we were doing and the space we were creating for ourselves, is all the things we had never considered started to become a possibility. And so we started looking at all the choices like, okay, well, I guess I assumed we had to live here based on this, but if this is able to change, then we have lots of choice. So where could we go? What do we want to create? What's going to work better for us, the businesses, parenting, and living and fun and all the other things. Like,
And the thing is, you went for that choice because that was my choice. She actually, you were supporting me on my choice because I thought the only choice I had was to be there for my daughter no matter what. And then when I did not put together that I needed to go, that we needed to go away for things to change. But there is something we did. We went for the challenge. We did the 30 by 30. We did a first one that it was powerful. And then we just jump into the extreme one that, oh, I got chills right now of telling you of the change, the power of those clearings. But that's pretty much it. We did not program this change. We ask through the clearings, and then we start getting those options and choices, and things show up.
Yeah, and the clearing that we started with was the what would it take to be willing? And that's really anything that it takes for your life to change is the willingness. It's like once you can open up willingness to live the energy of what you'd like your life to be, then it can show up for you in totality. And what will show up in your world are these different choices that you have that maybe you haven't considered, maybe have been out of reach, maybe you've eliminated. Now I'm repeating myself. But the cool thing about doing these challenges is that you don't know what's going to show up. So the reason we're calling this next one an extreme challenge is because not only are we doing it every single day for a month, but we're going to do it every single day for 6 months, which is extreme. But, like
in English
and in Spanish. Yeah, just for fun. So yeah, we don't know you never know what's going to show up. You just start and see what can show up. So, but the same thing is true of living. You don't know what's going to show up. You just start creating, living. So
we don't know what's show up, but we do know what has changed so far.
I want to talk about another thing that we were like getting hot and heavy about that we changed. And that is we were talking about getting married. And we still might. But the conversation was heading into, we're going to move down to this country and we're going to get married and we're going to open a corporation. And exactly, Frank, the Thunderdome, exactly. And it was very, very fun in the beginning. And then as it kept coming up, like we're going to get married, every time we would talk about getting married, we'd look at it, it kind of went thud and went thud. And personally, I kept trying to ignore it because I didn't want to deal with the thud, because I didn't want to have that conversation. What did happen?
I was never asked. Never asked, just so you know. Yeah, it was when you call it like kind of like forced yeah, kind of thing. Like, hey, they structure to you in a way that, yeah, that's where you need to go. And then we're like, okay, we didn't even ask questions. We didn't
ask questions.
We didn't even ask questions. First thing, like,
will it be fun? Will it be easy? Will I be happier after? Will I be grateful in the morning? We didn't ask any of that.
But hey, we got to a point where like, look at this.
Yeah, and one of the things that occurred for me in the middle of the process, and this is how creating living works, is you'll choose and you get awareness, and you choose and you get awareness. And with that awareness, you choose again, and you choose again, and you choose again. And that's how creating living works. So to get awareness, you have to choose. So we chose. We're going to do it this way. And I got a lot of awareness. Now, where I tend to, and where I watch a lot of people tend to make themselves wrong, is with that awareness, you either ignore it or refuse it, or you try to justify it or something like that. So I got awareness of a bunch of the pieces, and some of it was what I call hitching my gitch. So anytime you get that hitch and your something is up, that's the time to just go, what am I aware of here? So some of the things were like hitching my gitch, but I wasn't necessarily responding to them. I was just kind of paying attention. And then one night it just came to a head, and I was like, whatever was said was like, no, now we need to pay a different kind of attention to this. Like, this is not going to actually work. And that event changed our course and gave us a totally different set of choices. So where is the gitch? Anywhere in your body. The gitch can show up any place, Frank. It's an unlimited locatable gitch.
You know where I get it? Like, I'm coming from a very different, non-pragmatic kind of background. Mm-hmm. So every time I have conversations with the elders, they tend to, the first thing they want to sell you is they want to prove you wrong. Oh my God, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Have you thought, like, they wanted to put their point of view on you. And back in the past, they used to be successful. And then now, if you still have the opportunity, and if you haven't looked at certain things, you don't have to reject those things. You can just look at it and say, really, have I asked myself all the questions? But that used to be like my story. It used to be influenced by, like, all right, I have to be close to my daughter because that is, if I'm not a good dad. Excuse my French, fuck that. So I'd rather to faster be in a better position so that I can offer her a better future, rather than just like waiting for not being blamed.
But yes, and I also want to add, because of the facilitator here, is that that's his justification for choosing it, and it's correct. But also, like, if you start becoming willing to really look at things and go, okay, this is what I want to be there for her. And does this choice create a greater future? When it creates a greater future for you, it creates a greater future for everybody, but it will never look the way you think it will. And that was this conversation of, like, talking about, I don't want to marry you right now. That's not working, was another one of those conversations, which was, it's not because I don't like him or I don't want to be with him. It's
She did.
I think you were the one that first said it out loud. Actually, you're like, look, I like you. I'm committed.
We both are on the same page from the beginning. We're like, do you need a certificate of marriage to be your best? Because I don't need you to be the best to me. I need you to be your best. If you can be the best of you, and I can be being together, that's the magic of everything. And she said, no, I don't. And I'm think the same way. I don't need a commitment in writing to have to be who I want to be.
But then we were making all these plans, and we were definitely going to make this commitment. And I was really trying to be cool with it, because I'm like, I mean, I like this guy. Yes, it's a yes. But every time we went into the paperwork, it went. We can pull that apart and look at everything you become aware of when you make a choice like that, and all the judgment. You can pull it apart. But the bottom line was that wasn't the choice that was actually going to create the most for us. And it turns out we didn't even need to do it. So there was this whole other set of choices that we had available, that because one of us finally was like, wait a second, hold on, this isn't working. We were able to actually find it. So, lesson number 25,000 is like, trust yourself. And if there's a hitch in your gitch, stop the train and just go, hey, what am I aware of here?
Wasn't pretty.
It wasn't pretty.
Wasn't pretty because life is not about being pretty.
No.
In my thing, but it was necessary, and actually brought up way more possibilities. It brought up more choices. Yeah, and it was a moment for me, like, sometimes as you're moving forward, you're going to get hit those moments where more potency shows up in one or the other, or in your world, than you've ever had before. And you could maybe feel crazy, or like you're being insane or whatever, but you can trust yourself. And if you don't have enough information, choose it anyway, and you'll get more information. But, like, you can trust yourself in this process, because creating living is very undefined. It's the most undefined. It's choosing, for me anyway, it's going, hey, what will my life be like in 5 years if I choose this thing? Because do I know what's going to happen once we choose to move to another country? Of course not. I get to learn a new language, There's all kinds of possible things that could occur, but all I know for sure is that the choice for it creates a greater future. The choice to be with him creates a greater future. The choice to, et cetera, creates a greater future. So I let that guide me, because you can't cognitively figure out where you're going to go. You can only know if that choice is going to create more or less. Yeah, it wasn't pretty, but it was worth it. Oh, and now there's way more clarity.
Yeah.
And there's way more potency we see on the choice.
Mm-hmm.
And things change a lot after. I mean, for good. I mean, like, there's more generation, and every day is more generation, and it's more and it's more, and now it's just what I'm
So a couple of things that we're playing with very dynamically every single day, just so you guys know. We are destroying and uncreating our relationship every day, which is creating all we haven't done it yet. Would you?
Everything we were yesterday, we destroyed and created all.
Yeah, right, wrong, good, bad, puck on the insurance, boys and beyonds. So we've been doing that together every day, which is really awesome. That cleans the slate. So it's like you're no longer creating from the reference points that you were yesterday, or the problems you were yesterday, or the anger you were yesterday. You get to now have a totally energetically clear slate to create from. So that's something we're doing. And really waking up with like what needs our attention today. That's how I'm waking up, like what needs my attention today? Because we're, it's a big choice. We're moving our whole life down.
Oh, guys, I wish I could show you. I mean, like, Christel has her own agenda, her own calendar, which is not really, it doesn't really record everything she has to do because she's got way more on her head. I got my own calendar.
Yeah.
And then we have a small, like a shared calendar. And she also has 2 paper calendars downstairs that just for the moving kind of help her with her work and everything. So if we were going just to look at that, to make decisions, I
guess that's tool number 25,072 is like put a system in place to support, especially if you're making a big change. Actually, I didn't tell you about this. One of the systems that I instituted, because we've had so many choices in front of us, and when you're creating living, sometimes you have an abundance of choices coming your way. It's like, oh my God, you could go into overwhelm. You could go into like, holy shit, overwhelm, basically. Or you can make a list of all your choices. And I didn't tell you about this.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
So I did move to Panama. By the way, we're moving to Panama.
Oh, damn it. We're going to put you in the fish.
I don't know if that was supposed to be a surprise. Surprise! So move there, don't move there. There was a series of things that I put onto there, and I put the reverse of each choice. And then I did columns. Life is greater in 5 years if we do it. Life is not greater in 5 years if we don't do it. Is it required? Yes. Is it required? No. Because a yes-no universe is the thing that makes choice so much simpler. It's like, does it make things greater? Yes or no? If it makes things greater, choose it. Because once you start getting into your head about choices, that's when you start fucking yourself, and not in a good way. So easier to have a yes-no universe. So I made a list of all my different choices. We still have choices to make in regards to taxes and moving the country and moving our stuff and, Luna. There was just a lot of things, big things to look at. So instead of going into overwhelm, I just made a list and did yes or no. And I put a little tick mark by it, and instead of thinking about it, which is super helpful because I actually was on the correct track for me. Turns out, but it took the pressure away from choosing. So that's a very pragmatic thing that you can do to get choices out of your head and start to get a sense of, what choices are going to create more for you.
I did want to share something if it's okay. Please. And this is about the clearing. So one of the things I realized, and I just got the download. We got it this weekend, but now it's kind of clear. So we start doing these clearings, and I noticed there's a lot of questions about just a particular topic of money and monetary weighting of how powerful is the clearing. So let's destroy and create all that shit, please. Abundance. So by the way, we've been asking what it'll take and what energy generative space and consciousness can I be that will allow me to be the energy having accumulated money I truly be. And then you start asking the questions, and I just realized we got a lot of shit to deal with. We got a lot of crap that we just gonna get rid of it. Some of them we're gonna sell it.
Stuff in our house.
Some of that we're gonna give away, and then what that reflects is into time that we got to put into that. So then that happens. So then we can flow and continue with our plan. I got this connection, and then we ended up by selling one of the items. We got this connection of just arrived like new immigrants coming into settling in Canada, and then I realized that the power of being able to ask them to help us to do things around the house and to get some assistance from them. It generates for everyone. It generates for us in a way that we have more free time to really do the things that right now we're focusing to, like getting all the staff together, like documentation and all the programs that we have to put together. We're gonna do a trip, and it's gonna take us like a week away from the computer, stuff like that. But they're gonna come and help us to do that, and they're gonna help us by taking some of the items that we could be spending a lot of time trying to sell in it, and then we're creating this symbiotic, and it's a communion where I just found out that what they're gonna do is they also gonna take these items that we don't need anymore, like all the winter clothes and all the stuff that we're not gonna need, and they're gonna use some of it, and they're also gonna help another newcomers and say, here's some free stuff for you. Welcome to Canada, kind of thing. So that's an abundance that I looked at it from that perspective. Thank you, universe, for all these answers.
Yeah, well, what's really cool, and I know we're going over, but we will go over a little bit today, is that money is the energy of life and living for you. And it can show up as cash, it can show up as people, it can show up as anything, stuff, clothes, food, etc. And so we've been really choosing from, what is money for us, especially me coming into this. I'm like, as we were building this house and this life together, as things were in our life, and I was like, that's not really money for me. I'm going to upgrade that because this energy is more nurturing. So I was upgrading our stuff and our life and stuff like that because I had already been playing with this for like 7 or 8 years, and I really knew that having things in my life that were money were a generative element. And so and now as we are, moving into this next phase, another facet of money is commercing and including people where that simultaneity of gifting and receiving exists. And you being willing to include others in your life is also money. But you got to look at what that is for you. Like, how could that show up for you? And if you were willing to have it all and receive it all and be it all, what could you choose and what could you create and what's available? And if the rules didn't apply to you, you could invent them however you want to and just note the ones that you need to pay attention to in order to get around them. What would be possible? And that's really what we're playing with.
That's just the beginginning.
Oh my gosh, we just started.
We're nuts. Just if we haven't been able to say it official, we are nuts. We're freaking crazy. Guys, just in case you didn't know, we're going into 6 months of extreme challenge. And then that includes stopping in Florida.
Yeah, if you guys choose to come along on the adventure, the link's right above our head and you can join at any time, but you're going to get to like travel with us because we're going to be driving down to Florida, then first Atlanta, then Florida, then we're going to be flying to Panama, then we've got 6 weeks in Panama, and then we've got another trip to Florida and a trip to like Puerto Vallarta. So anyway, in addition to showing up every day, which I promise you we will do because we are extreme.
We're extreme. We're extreme.
Even if we're fighting that day, we'll show up. I promise. It'll be entertaining. We all get to change together and find out what this is. What is it to be the energy, to be the space, to be the consciousness of having and accumulating money? Are you willing? Are you willing to have that much receiving? Are you willing for your life to expand in that undefinable way? We're going on the adventure.
You know what? Something I'm really, really waiting for.
Tell me.
I can't wait to see comments about when our friends that comes with us into that trip start telling us how life is being changing for them.
Yeah, that's so fun.
Start just giving us some testimonials of, hey, life. We had something recently. Someone shared with us. It's a big life-changing thing. But yeah, we're like, it'll be so much
That's
fun.
That's a testimonial. Some big life-changing thing happened.
My memory gets a little blurry with the scotch. So
listen, bars and scotch and life and living. What can you guys create? What can you choose? What can you add to your life? What's possible? And we will keep you posted on what we're choosing and how it's going for us, and keep inspiring you, hopefully, with, the change. And it's an adventure.
Come join us, guys.
You're more than welcome to join us. Absolutely. And he can yell at you every single day.
I mean, like, you gotta try that. If any one of you hasn't been yelled at yet, please make a comment or do a little heart or like or something that I know next time I see online I can do
definitely
it
yell
right times a godzillion. Like, really, like, seriously.
All right. And if you guys are listening in the future, having and accumulating money is a clearing out of right riches for you, and you can go grab it and do it yourself. The tools of access consciousness open you up to what you can choose, what you can create. So what the fuck else is possible?
What else?
We will see you guys next week and see you in the challenge. Bye for now.